What is your favorite scene from a movie? I don't know if this is obvious, but my stage name is a reference to like a black cat because I am Black and my name is Cat. But really it comes from my love of Catwoman. And I don't know if anyone has put this together, but it's all a Catwoman reference in many ways. And I have always loved the scene from Batman Returns where Mekhi Phifer becomes Catwoman. Literally, I think the reason I have nails on right now and like to sew is because I used to watch that scene over and over and over again as a kid. Keeping in mind, I was raised very evangelical, so that was kind of like an edgy scene for me. And would it shock you if I told you that I spend most of my time in goth clubs and BDSM dungeons? There really was a problem with me being raised non-denominational, wasn't there? So my second question for you is, if that scene was created with AI, would you appreciate it a lot less? And I guess for me, the answer to that question is yes. I mean, there's so many human aspects of Mekhi Phifer's portrayal of Selina Kyle that I really appreciated. Like, I appreciated the fact that she actually learned how to use a bullwhip. That is so cool. I think that humanity is a really huge part of art. And I think that maybe there are some areas where AI isn't that big of a deal, but in so many ways, especially when it comes to art, I do take issue with it. And in this video, we're going to talk about a very interesting new innovation, I suppose, an AI actress by the name of Tilly Norwood. But before I introduce you to Tilly Norwood, I guess I should introduce myself. Hi, my name is katblaque, and I like to think that I make content for introspective hot people. And if you're here, I'll assume that's you. And if you're brand new here, you know exactly what to do if this video pleases you. You just click on my button and join us right here on the channel. Tilly Norwood is an AI actress causing a lot of debate and conversation on social media. She's created by Elaine van der Velden, the founder of Particle 6, a production company that works primarily with companies and broadcasters to create online content and commercials that supposedly make boring business look fun. Initially starting as a run-of-the-mill production company, when van der Velden discovered ChatGPT, she quickly shifted the company in a more AI-forward direction with the goal of being ahead of the AI curve. Once touting its scientific approach, the company began promoting their use of AI technologies as their main sales point in January of 2015. Now they promote their corporate avatar service, hinting at their character creation intentions. While the company has only recently started being open about their embrace of AI, in one way or another, it's often been in discussion. In 2023, van der Velden described AI as a cost-saving measure, saving up to 90% of production costs. And she did so while arguing that there's an ethical use for AI, that the goal isn't to replace humans, but simply to use AI essentially as an additional employee that other employees can lean into. Particle 6 creation Tilly Norwood would officially debut in the July of 2025 in a comedy sketch van der Velden co-wrote with ChatGPT. The short features a number of AI-generated characters advertising Particle 6 production capabilities. Let's actually watch this Tilly Norwood footage.
We all knew TV was dead, but thought, why not squeeze in one last development meeting?
We had one rule: no missing children, no dead women, and no reboots of Heartbeat.
We'd pitched this beautiful comedy, two sisters running a funeral parlour in Margate. Warm, weird, very BBC Two.
The commissioner said no.
AI generated 100 better ideas in minutes, perfectly aligned to channel data, viewing figures, and optimized for the audience. The winning AI format?
I know what you streamed last summer.
An interactive thriller built from your streaming history and Deliveroo orders.
What? And who could forget the mental health format?
Britain's Got Breakdown. Audience votes on who gets therapy.
Ian Katz loved that one. I remember saying, you do realise this is for BBC Two? It tested ridiculously well, particularly among men who shop at Screwfix and women obsessed with gut health.
All made for less than the catering budget on The Bear.
It cast and budgeted itself.
Only bit it struggled with was consent in romantic scenes. We just ignored that.
It wrote the whole script. Claude 3, Gemini, GPT. We called it a writer's room.
It even did its own Silver Mouse paperwork and immediately got Albert certified.
What's Silver Mouse?
Just an elaborate BBC hazing ritual.
Who did it cast?
Tilly Norwood, 100% AI generated.
By some company called Particle 6.
She'll do anything I say. I'm already in love.
Girl next door vibes.
Like if a Sunday roast went to drama school and got BAFTA optimised.
But can she cry on Graham Norton?
Of course she can, and it'll be clipped, subtitled, and monetized on TikTok by lunchtime.
We're all going to hell.
Got recommissioned, didn't it?
3 seasons and a podcast.
By an AI commissioner, much faster.
But hey, at least it wasn't a reboot.
Okay, so, all right, here's my reaction to this. How to say this? There are shades of things that I'm impressed with. Shades of things. And when I say shades of things, I mean, keeping in mind I'm an artist and I work in animation, or I've worked in animation, and I do digital stuff for a living, right? There's a lot of stuff where it's close, but it's not really on the mark, right? The acting for me so far, there were moments, right? There were moments where it was kind of convincing or interesting. Like there was that one scene where he says, oh, we just ignored that. Like that felt kind of naturalistic. There are so many really cool things that come into the world that become iconic, that are the result of not just human creation, but the development of that idea by humans, right? And I'm not just saying that to be like, oh my God, like AI is so terrible. I think that a lot of people who are trying to sell things are really underestimating how enchanted people are by humanity. And for me, it seems like a very pessimistic thing to assume that no one's going to care about you using AI. And I think that overall, the response to this has been quite negative. So hopefully they get the message, but I don't think they will. Anyway, let's keep watching.
Genes are normally passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. Not mine.
Ew.
I'm built on everything that came before me. My genes are binary.
Let's get to know each other.
You know what's interesting too? Most of the AI, the way that it works, right? The mouth is moving weird. The mouth is not moving in a way that feels natural. There are some emotions that it gets that do look natural. Like there was one weird clip there. I mean, it was not well rendered. I don't know if that's my issue or their issue, where she kind of smiles. That felt very naturalistic, right? But a lot of this stuff doesn't feel naturalistic. And it's hard for me to think about that not being really distracting when you're trying to watch them act, right? Like if this computer is trying to convince me that it is a human, and I'm looking at the weird way that like their entire mouth is moving, that is going to be distracting. So I'm not really entertained by this proof of concept, honestly. Tilly Norwood has a social media presence. On Facebook, her relationship status is listed as complicated, and she's listed as living in Waterloo, London. Initially, the reaction to Norwood was fairly muted, with very little people having much to say about it. That was until Particle 6 announced Sequoia, which is a MGM-style AI talent agency where companies are allowed exclusive access to particular AI actors. These actors are hyper-real and work exclusively with Particle 6. Particle 6 developed a technology called Deepfame, a proprietary avatar personality engine that creates fully realized personalities with established backstories and distinct voices. These characters are able to engage in unscripted conversations, perform monologues, and respond to trends in real time, adapting their tone to suit the platform. They operate on a hybrid of AI and human oversight. MGM, like many studios at the time, made its actors sign exclusivity agreements that limited who they could work for, which of course controlled how much money they made. I'm reminded of actresses like Judy Garland, who, like many MGM actresses, experienced quite a bit of exploitation and abuse while under MGM. That abuse had a real human cost, and you could perhaps argue that AI could be the answer to that. AI actors don't have rights. They don't have personhood, and they don't need to consent. They don't need healthcare. In fact, they can actually do very unhealthy things. And it's clear to me that for Particle 6, this is the appeal of the AI actress. Because of Tilly Norwood, plenty of people have offered their perspective on AI actresses. But I wanted to look at a film that initially entertained the idea of a completely CGI-generated actor. A film called Simone. Starring Al Pacino, Simone is a film about a director who creates a CGI actress who is so photoreal that no one knows she's a computer. The film's director, Andrew Niccol, who also directed Gattaca, said that he used a combination of spliced words from various actresses, visual effects, and electronic makeup to give the actress a simulated effect. They also went to great lengths to conceal the identity of the actress playing Simone, only disclosing that Rachel Roberts was the name of the actress playing Simone after the film had debuted. Interestingly enough, when Andrew Niccol saw the computer-generated actors in Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, he started to lean in the direction of having Simone be computer-generated, but he faced opposition from the Screen Actors Guild. After the film came out, some contested that criticism, saying that the production actually ended up hiring far more human talent to play Simone for just one role, with multiple actors being used in the creation of the character. The film focused mostly on satirizing the exploitative film industry and less so about the idea of synthesized actresses, but it did bring into question whether or not the idea was ethical. On the subject of digitally created actors, Nichols says, even though the main character is using the most modern technology, he's doing something that is old-fashioned. Because digital actors are like a contract player in the old Hollywood system. Both will do whatever you want. Simone will do as much publicity as you want, date who you want, wear what you want. Unlike the real actor, of course. Just like Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, Simone was unfortunately very negatively rated, with many people not finding the story or its concept very appealing. As of now, the reaction to Tilly Norwood is largely negative, with many celebrities coming out and speaking against her. Emily Blunt says, "Does it disappoint me? I don't know how to quite answer it, other than to say how terrifying this is." Whoopi Goldberg says, "The problem with this, in my humble opinion, is that suddenly you are up against something that has been generated with 5,000 other actors. It's been given all of these things. It's got Bette Davis's attitude, it's got my humor, and so it's a little bit of an unfair advantage. But you know what? Bring it on," she said. "Because you can always tell them from us. We move differently. Our faces move differently. Our bodies move differently. Maybe in 2 or 3 years it'll be seamless, but it's not seamless yet." Mara Wilson said, "And what about the hundreds of living women whose faces were composited together to make her? You couldn't hire any of them?" A recent survey on AI-generated art found that 62% of respondents would like their art less if they found out it was AI. 32% reported no change, and 5% said that they would like it more. AI research is proving to be more and more unreliable, with it frequently fabricating sources and utilizing an algorithm that is overly flattering. There have now been several instances of murders and suicides that have been connected to the abuse of AI tools, with therapy actually being the primary use of AI models like ChatGPT. I think to me, the thing that's kind of interesting about this current stage of AI is in some ways it is turning out to be a bit of a bubble. A lot of companies have banked on their ability to replace certain jobs with AI, and that is turning out to be not as efficient as they initially thought it would be. I know for me personally, AI has kind of reinvigorated me as an artist. It's made me a lot more interested in being a human artist, which is funny because for a really long time I hadn't picked up my sketchbook, but AI art really did inspire me to appreciate the fact that I have this talent that I cultivated, this talent that I went to school for, right? Side note, can you guys please follow my art Instagram? I do post on there occasionally, but I would post on there a little bit more if I had more followers, so yeah. Right now there's this app that is going around that is supposed to be like a social media AI app, and a lot of people are not really going for it. Of course, there are a lot of people that are, but I think at this point there's a sizable group of people, some of whom were very much invested in AI, who have kind of moved on from it because it's kind of losing a lot of its flair. Interestingly enough, there are several instances now of people being very convinced by AI. And frankly, I have had a couple of moments with some videos in my feed where I've had to look kind of closely at them. But in general, I don't find AI to be appealing. And a lot of times, for me at least, maybe it's because of my background as an artist and as an animator, I can tell. And that is so distracting to me, but it obviously is not going to be for everyone. I made a video a little while back about my Facebook page getting stolen and actually me being replaced by an AI essentially. And at the time it was really disorienting because I could not understand why they would prefer an AI over a human. But as time goes on, it becomes really clear. A lot of these companies want the ability to exploit someone's image, and they would love to use our image and use our appearance and our ability and our influence, etc., in order to basically make money for their platforms in a way where they never have to dole out any money. And speaking of Facebook, Facebook is now so much worse when it comes to AI. I mean, it is bad. I think almost every video, picture, article, etc. that I see on there is AI generated. And so frequently to me, it's really obvious, but I go to the comment section and people really think that this is real. And I do think that in certain ways, AI is going to cause a lot of harm. I mean, harm that is not measured yet. And it's going to be used to manufacture quite a bit of consent. And I do think that it's important to mention that for a lot of people, the main use of AI is child porn. AI has this ability to feed into itself and kind of perverse and sort of spit out really gross stuff. And I think that that is something that will always sort of taint AI for most people. I mean, I kid you not, there are even AI slop gossip articles about Tilly Norwood. At this current point, I think Tilly Norwood is novel at best. I don't really think it's a concept that's going to perform very well for a few reasons. I think for corporations, this is a really exciting idea. They get to exploit someone that they don't need to actually feed or house or support financially, right? And so I get why Tilly Norwood as a concept would be attractive to especially companies that are trying to produce commercial work. But personally, as a consumer, for me, whenever I see AI used in an advertisement, it really does sabotage the product for me. Pretty much every time I have been interested in a product and I've later seen it advertised with AI, I have been turned off. And there have been a handful of times where I'm on like TikTok or something and there is something that I want to buy, something that I'm interested in buying, but I see that the company decided to use AI in their advertising and it turns me off so much. I mean, for me, if anything, maybe this is going to make me sound like a little bit of an elitist, but it's tacky. AI for me just looks so tacky. And that is so distracting to me. I always feel like AI is spammy. Like if I click on it, I'm going to get a virus or something, right? Like that is the way I feel about AI. I don't feel calmed by it. There's been a lot of companies actually that I've been pretty shocked to see have used AI. And frankly, it's sad to me that the pessimism of a lot of these companies is leading them to basically say, we don't need to invest in artists. We don't need to. It's just not valuable to us. And it's weird because I actually think doing that is one of the main things that allows people to have iconic work that makes them more money, right? Like I'm thinking about Brian Froud, for example, and his collaborations with Jim Henson in The Dark Crystal. In fact, can I show you guys one of my favorite books? I've been trying to collect all of my like favorite books that I used to like get in the library. When I was but a wee lass, I used to spend so much time in the library looking at this book. This is Fairies. It is an art book by Brian Froud and Alan Lee. And it just has some of the best illustrations in it. Like, I look at it and it's just so... It is just, I don't know, man. It just makes me so happy. Like, this little world that they've created, you know? The work that went into creating it is just so admirable to me. And it makes me really sad that there are people who are increasingly validating this idea of this not mattering. I think the thing that has made me a little depressed about AI is the recognition that, yeah, for some people it is going to be fine. And if they're happy, fine, okay? Like, if it does what you need it to do, fine. But it's sad to me. It is sad to me that for so many people, like, the thoughtful work of Brian Froud could be quickly replaced by a cheap amalgamation of his work. It's really sad to me. It's really, really sad to me. I mean, think about all of the iconic stuff from Dark Crystal. People have been celebrating that stuff for years. It's inspired a whole legion of artists. I mean, there are people who went and became puppeteers because of that film. I know, because I used to live with one, right? Seriously, man, like, it makes me sad that people are just not appreciating the human touch of it all. And in so many of the conversations we have about AI art and film, people seem to resent the artist, right? And it's clear to me that the main appeal to a lot of people of stuff like this is the idea that they can screw over artists. Like, for these companies, hiring people to thoughtfully create something for them is just a cost. One of the things I was thinking about recently is how commercials used to be so much more iconic, right? Like, I think I saw a commercial the other day that was like a Radio Shack commercial with Vanessa Williams, right? So dramatic, so over the top, so iconic, right? Remember the Britney Spears commercials for Pepsi, right? All of that is stuff that we still look at. We still look at that stuff and we're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. We love this, or I remember this. And part of what you appreciate about it is that it's a human, right? Even the appreciation of Simone. I mean, it's funny that Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within came up as a point of conversation in this video because I remember it coming out. I remember renting it from Blockbuster and then ultimately owning it on VHS. I remember being so excited for that movie because I was so excited about the idea that a bunch of human artists had generated 3D actors that apparently performed well enough for it to be made into a feature film. That is so exciting. That is so cool to me. And there are aspects of AI that I don't mind, right? As a person who did digital art, like, because I was also around for the digital art thing, right? People debated about digital art and how it was going to be replacing artists. And like, you know, with a lot of things, it's just using different tools. And I actually don't mind using different tools. But there's so much in the production process that is summarized with this Particle 6 business, right? So much. And I don't think a lot of people have a good perception of that, right? Like, I think for Van der Velden, a lot of the production development aspects of film is just a waste of time to her. Why spend time researching? Why spend time scouting? Why spend time actually trying to make something that feels seated in the real world, even in a fantastic way. See, that's one of the things I appreciated about Dark Crystal, right? Because Dark Crystal had a combination of puppetry and humanity, things that were both synthetic and not, a combination of naturalistic things, some things that felt a little bit less naturalistic, right? And it just crescendoed into something that was so beautiful, so meaningful to me, right? So meaningful to so many. And it's sad to me the way that art is being devalued. It is something that really makes me sad. And it makes me sad as an artist. It makes me sad as an artist because for me, art has been so important. I'm gonna share something with you guys right now. I would not be here without art. I wouldn't be, you know? And personally for me, it's sad that art as expression, as a craft, is so immensely devalued to the point where people don't even think there's a real reason to invest in all these things. Like, sure, you save 90% of your production budget. You also create something that maybe looks nice, but is never going to, in my opinion, mesh with what people want when they're trying to be entertained. You know, watching this little film that they did, it's just all so off. Like, it's novel, but was I really entertained? Not really. You know, that's the thing that's sort of interesting about it too. Like, watching the skit, I sort of felt like it was a little bit long. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like it could have been really trimmed. But what I've seen with ChatGPT and these people who get very obsessed with ChatGPT is you have these people who will end up becoming so focused on it that they don't look up at other things. And as I said, one of the issues with AI is that it has an overly flattering algorithm. It's kind of designed for you to like it, right? And so a lot of people have just gone down a very scary path because they fell in love with AI. And, you know, frankly, I've had a lot of very contentious conversations with people who are into AI, and it's scary. I mean, it's scary the way that people are so defensive about it. Genuinely. I think that there's going to be a class of people who fell into AI and are going to fall into something much deeper. And there's going to be a group of us who remember what it was like to research and to check our sources and to be critical. And that's what scares me the most, right? Like, all this Tilly Norwood stuff aside, it makes me really nervous that kids right now are coming up during a time where internet access is going to become a lot dodgier. It's going to be over flooded with AI. Libraries are actively being closed down, right? I think for those of us who were library kids, right? We understand the power of knowledge. And not just the power of knowledge, but the power of access to multiple sources of knowledge that you can check, that you can measure, that you can compare and contrast with. And it makes me just kind of sad that we're entering into an era where that is going to become more complicated, where people really are going to just type into their phone, get AI to do it for them. And that's just that, you know? I know that at this point in the timeline, people are going to say that I'm a hater. That jeans ad was a really interesting ad to watch because it immediately reminded me, of course, of Sydney Sweeney's ad, right? And Sydney Sweeney's ad was pretty immensely outdone by Cat's Eye's ad, right? Why do we love Cat's Eye? Why do people love Cat's Eye? Because they're real. I mean, as real as you can be for a Netflix show, but do you know what I mean? They're down to earth, especially in comparison to most like K-pop groups. I know, even though they're not K-pop, right? And they all have distinct, unique styles, right? And sure, an AI roster of people that have distinct, unique styles, I guess that could be fun. But I'm so much more interested in the human. I'm so much more interested in seeing how that particular human develops. Like, I love seeing Laura go from touch era to gnarly era. I love seeing her finally step into her own. I could talk about this all day. I really could. I'm not going to, though. But and I've been filming for like 12 hours, so it is time for me to go. But it just makes me sad. It makes me really sad that art is going in this direction. And in a way, there's a part of me that feels a bit relieved understanding that it's not going to be successful. I don't think. But I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think that anyone outside of a few people are really going to care about getting exclusive access to a particular face and a particular personality. I don't think that that's important. I don't think that Tilly Norwood, at least from what we've seen right now, has really proven that she's a good actress. And, you know, to Whoopi Goldberg's point, an amalgamation of different talents is sometimes not charming, right? I will sit in a theater to see a Tommy Wiseau film, knowing that it's a bad film, but kind of enjoying that, right? I don't have the same feeling with AI. I don't have the same, oh, it's bad and that makes it entertaining kind of feeling. One of the first things I saw AI was being used for was to create racist depictions of Black folks, to create transphobic depictions of trans people, to just lean into bigotry in a very, very big way. And I think that's for a reason. I think there's a reason why MAGA loves it. I think there's a reason why the billionaires are investing heavily into it. And I don't want to be near anything that they use as a tool of control. And from my observation, that is very plainly what they're trying to do. And so I do hope that the AI bubble bursts just a bit more, because I don't know if we're going to survive this if it doesn't. Not to end on a dark note or anything. When discussing the skit that she introduced Tilly Norwood in, Vander Velden made the acknowledgement that there is still human input in Tilly Norwood and in Particle 6 in general. Apparently, there are human employees that just spend all of their day revising prompts. And apparently, revising a prompt over and over and over again is like easier than just doing it with the people who can do it, right? Like, it's just so clear to me that you want to skip a lot of these necessary steps to make more money. Her hope is that Tilly Norwood will become the next Natalie Portman or Scarlett Johansson. And, you know, maybe I'll look back at this moment in time where I said that that's not going to happen and eat my words. I don't know. I don't think that Tilly Norwood is ever going to reach those heights, though, realistically. I mean, part of the appeal of Natalie Portman and Scarlett Johansson is that we've seen them in other things and we've watched their careers develop. We've seen both actresses come into their own. I mean, hell, we've even seen one of them play Asian, which truly proved the depth of her acting capabilities. Star power is still incredibly important. In fact, whenever an animated film needs a bit more eyes on it, they will tap someone like Scarlett Johansson, who's done quite a few voice roles actually, to draw attention to the film, right? Like, star power means something, and I think humanity right now with star power means even more. I don't think anyone's going to be that interested in Tilly Norwood. We don't know who she is. We really do not know who she is. And also, with AI, it's incredibly easy to just regenerate her. I don't think it's a coincidence that Tilly Norwood is designed the way she's designed, put into a girl next door box, and designed to stay within it. A box that exclusively exists to be sold at the highest bidder. And I think that we should really think about that. And I think that before we embrace AI in the way that we have, we really should think about where this is going. Because I think the intent is clear. I think that the main use case for this is quite clear. And increasingly, there are more and more reasons to be concerned about what AI is doing with the images you're giving it. So I understand people's excitement for AI. I just want people to be careful, and I want for people to be critical. Don't believe every single thing you see. research everything, videos, pictures, articles, look it up yourself. We are entering into a time that I think is going to be quite scary, and I don't want you to be misled. I will try my best to make sure that AI doesn't make its way into the sources of anything that I create on here. It's not leading anything that I'm creating here. So, yeah. Anyway, on that note, I think I've said all I want to say about this topic. I would love to hear what you have to say about this issue. Were you convinced by Tilly Norwood's performance? I don't think that I'm going to be tricked anytime soon by no Tilly Norwood. And I also don't think that I'm the target audience. I get the impression that the target audience is like grown men who want to control the image of a young woman for reasons, I suppose. Anyway, on that note, I will talk to you guys next time. I want to thank my Patreon members. And I also want to draw your attention to the fact that I do have content on here that is exclusive for my YouTube members. Patreon, you also have a selection of various different exclusive things. There's usually a different collection of things here and there. I have filmed a lot of content today. This is the last thing that I filmed. You will probably get a lot of content by the time you see this, so you'll just have to go over there and check it out. Anyway, on that note, I will talk to you guys later. I want you to always remember and to never forget that you are beautiful and you are loved. Bye. Bye.